What if every men's Royal Rumble winner decided to go after the TNA World Champion instead? In this video, I'm going to go from 2003, because even though TNA was around in 2002, they didn't have their first show until June of that year, so the Royal Rumble winner doesn't apply. I'm going to take the winner from each year all the way up until 2024 and see what it would have looked like if the Rumble winner decided to challenge the TNA World Champion at that year's WrestleMania. First up, the 2003 Rumble winner was Brock Lesnar. Now this was Here Comes the Pain, next big thing, Brock Lesnar, who was just tearing through SmackDown. And he will be going up against Jeff Jarrett, Double J. Now at this point, Jarrett had established himself as a big player in the TNA main event scene, but I just think Lesnar will be too much for him, especially in 2003. There was nobody going to stop Brock Lesnar. So WrestleMania 19, I got Lesnar winning this one. Next, in 2004, the Royal Rumble winner was Chris Benoit. Now I think this actually plays out the same as it did in real life. Benoit was going through his rise to the top, never good enough for the main event scene storyline. And I think that plays out the same, because in this case, Benoit will be going up against Jeff Jarrett again. I think Jarrett would have been portrayed as an evil main event heel that Benoit could overcome and overthrow at WrestleMania 20, so I got Benoit winning this one. In 2005, the Royal Rumble winner was Batista. This was the stage that WWE decided to just strap a rocket to his back and push him to the moon. And in this case, his opponent would again be Jeff Jarrett, but I promise this is the last time he'll be on this list. I just think the push for Batista at this stage will be far too strong. Jarrett was still a big main event player in TNA, but I think if this played out in real life, Batista would win this one. Finally, some variation. In 2006, Rey Mysterio was the Royal Rumble winner. This was coming off the back of Eddie Guerrero's recent death, so Rey Mysterio's stock was at an all-time high. And in this case, he'd actually be going up against Christian Cage. Now, at this point, Christian hadn't transformed into the father-hating guy we love in AEW, but I still love Christian Cage's TNA run. They finally knew what to do with him after years of being overlooked in WWE, and I think there is a case to be made for him winning here. I just think off the back of Eddie Guerrero's death and Rey Mysterio's hype just being at an all-time high, I think Rey wins this one. Next, in 2007, the Rumble winner was The Undertaker. Now, I was looking back over the list, and I was actually surprised that Undertaker had only won one Royal Rumble in history. I did know that in the back of my mind. It just kind of is surprising how long he's been in WWE and he only ever managed to win one. Again, he will be going up against Christian Cage. Now look, I hate to do it to you, Christian, but the fact is at WrestleMania, especially in the height of The Undertaker's powers, there's no way you're winning this one. It would be a good match to see them at this point in their careers, but I gotta give it to The Undertaker. Next, in 2008, off the back of his big return, the Rumble winner was John Cena. Now, this is the height of big match John, Super Cena. Cena wins lot, so whoever he goes up against will have a big challenge. But his opponent, in what many would consider a dream match, would be Samoa Joe. I would have loved to have seen this match at this stage of both guys' careers. Cena is always good in matches where he's got a great worker to carry him along to a really good performance, and I think Joe would have done that. And I actually think with how much of a killer Joe was at this time in TNA, he should win this match, but you just can't overlook Super Cena. And I hate to be going with all the WWE guys, but I think Cena wins this one as well. Basically what I'm saying is I want Joe to win, but I think Cena would win. In 2009, the Rumble winner was Randy Orton. Now this was bald, psycho, kick your family in the head Randy Orton, who was just terrorizing the WWE roster. And if this happened in real life, he'd actually go up against Sting. Now, this was Sting just coming off of his peak in TNA. His powers were dwindling, but he was still a big main event player. And I actually think Orton was such a big heel at this point that Sting will be a great foil for him as a babyface going into this match. And I think the story just makes the most sense that Sting would actually win. In 2010, we have the returning Edge winning the Royal Rumble. Now, this was a bit past the fully evil, conniving, heel rated R superstar Edge, as this was the year he retired. But I still think he could put in a great match. I mean, he's still putting in great matches to this day. And in this case, he put in a great match because his opponent would be AJ Styles. Edge didn't know he was going to retire at this point, at least somewhat temporarily, so you couldn't even build this as a retirement match. But I do think if this happened at this stage of their careers, you got to give it to AJ Styles. He was just too good. He was one of the best wrestlers in the world at this stage. He still is. So you got to give it to AJ. In 2011, the winner of the Royal Rumble, the nicest guy in wrestling, Alberto Del Rio. This was the point where WWE was really high on Del Rio. They tried him as a heel, they tried him as a face. He never really just caught on, but they really wanted to push him. And if this happened in real life, Del Rio would have gone up against Sting. This was around the time of crazy psycho old man Joker Sting, which I know a lot of people are divided on. But I think if this happened in real life, not only should he have won, I think Sting would have won. How this actually played out, Del Rio lost his WrestleMania match to Edge. So clearly WWE weren't ready to fully push him yet. So I think Sting would win. 2012, in the Royal Rumble that clearly Chris Jericho should have won, the winner was Sheamus. Now, Sheamus was over at this time. The fans liked him, WWE were giving him a push, but I don't think he can compare to the work that his opponent was doing in TNA, and that's Bobby Roode. This is prime single star Bobby Roode. Beer Money had just broken up. He was putting in the best work of his career so far, and he showed to everyone that he could be a singles megastar. I think if this match went ahead at that point in their careers, 2012, you gotta give it to Bobby Roode. This will be an interesting one. In 2013, the Royal Rumble winner was John Cena. Now, he was still Super Cena. Cena wins law. We were just beginning to see that little tipping point of where Cena would be losing his main event power. And if he was to challenge the TNA World Champion in 2013, he would have gone up against Bully Ray. Now, I think this is what a lot of people consider to be his best work in his career. From ECW to WWE to TNA, he again, similar to Bobby Roode, he proved he could be a megastar as a single star. He didn't need to be a tag team specialist. And some of his heel promos around this time were so funny. The stuff with Brooke Hogan, Aces and Eights, his work was just so memorable. This is another one of those cases, however, where what I think should happen and what I think would happen are different. I think Bully Ray should win this if this happened in real life. But 2013, Cena was on his redemption arc. He lost to The Rock. He had to come back to the top. So I think if this did happen, Cena would win. In 2014, in the Royal Rumble, Daniel Bryan should have won. We got Batista returning, winning his first Royal Rumble since 2005. I still look back on this as really strange. Even if Daniel Bryan wasn't around, would fans have been excited to see Batista in the main event scene or return to it? Like, we love Batista. Batista's great, but just at that point, I don't think anyone had any interest in main event Batista in any capacity. At least I didn't anyway. It's hard to explain. I don't really mind Batista in the main event picture. It just wasn't something I was clamoring for. I was dying to see it at that point in his career anyway. And if this happened in real life, Batista would have gone up against Magnus, who some of you probably know better as Nick Aldis, the SmackDown manager. This would have been a good match at this point in their careers. They were both big, tall, beefy men who could put in a good performance. And I just have no interest and see no benefit in Batista winning this match. If this happened in real life, I think Magnus would have won. 2015, in another Royal Rumble, Daniel Bryan should have won. The winner was Roman Reigns. We all remember this Rumble. What a disaster. Big Show and Kane dumping out people at the end. The Rock coming out, raising Roman's hand, looking confused why everyone just doesn't love everything The Rock touches. And this would have been a really cool match. At WrestleMania 31, it would have been Roman Reigns against Kurt Angle. If this had happened earlier on in Kurt's career, maybe 06, 07, Perk Angle, and maybe later on in Roman's career, Tribal Chief Roman Reigns versus Perk Angle would have been brilliant. But we got to take it as it is. So obviously 2015 Kurt Angle is a bit past his prime, and 2015 Reigns is a bit before his prime, but I still think this would have been a good match. Some of the work Kurt did on the indies around this time showed that he could still go, and obviously Reigns was a decent worker if you put him in there with someone who knew what they were doing. So a decent match, I'm sure, but you got to give it to Reigns if it happened around this time. There's no way WWE would let him lose, so Roman Reigns is the winner. In 2016, the Royal Rumble winner was Triple H. Now this was an interesting Royal Rumble in the fact that the winner didn't get a shot at WrestleMania. They actually won the WWE Championship. So we'll make this slightly different and we'll have both titles on the line. Now, WrestleMania 32 would have been Triple H with the WWE Championship against Drew Galloway for the TNA Championship. Triple H a bit past his prime at this stage, but I'm sure Galloway could bring him to a really good match. I know the match with Reigns at WrestleMania was bad and some of the Saudi shows were really bad, but I just think that was Triple H not being in there with a worker that was confident enough. I think Galloway around this time was really growing in confidence with work on the indies, trying to prove himself outside the WWE. So I think he'd really have a chip on his shoulder to carry Triple H to a great match. And it's a tough one because especially around this time, you can't see WWE allowing a TNA guy to win their world title. But I just can't see Triple H winning this with his age and how up-and-coming Galloway was at that time. So I think Galloway actually wins this one and becomes the first ever joint WWE TNA World Heavyweight Champion. In 2017, the Royal Rumble winner was Wyatt family Randy Orton. This is sleeveless, zip-up hoodie Orton, burning down houses. And if this happened in real life, he'd be going up against Bobby Lashley. This is Lashley going through his career revival. You've got all the belts Lashley going on one of the best runs of his career. And I don't think Orton was at the height of his powers anymore. That Wyatt family storylines, parts of it were good, parts of it were weird. I just think Lashley would be too much at this stage. He was on too much of a good run. If this happened, I gotta give it to Lashley. In 2018, we had so much hope. The winner of the Royal Rumble that year was Shinsuke Nakamura. This was probably the most pushed and the most hype we've been for Nakamura on the main roster. There was so much excitement going into his match at WrestleMania with AJ Styles, but unfortunately it disappointed. But in this case, that match doesn't happen because he'd be going up against Austin Aries. This was fresh out of WWE Austin Aries. I don't think he had left the company that long and TNA decided to put the belt on him. And he definitely did have a decent run. But if this match did happen, I'm going to use this opportunity to right some wrongs. Nakamura wins this one. In 2019, the Royal Rumble winner was Seth Rollins. This was Kingslayer, Beast Slayer Seth Rollins, and the more you go over it in your head of all the different characters he's had over the years, it just goes to show what a great worker Rollins is. It seems like he'll only have a character for like 1, maybe 2 years max, and then switch it up, and that new character will be equally as memorable as the previous ones. If this match had happened, Rollins would have gone up against Johnny Impact, John Morrison, Johnny Nitro, Johnny Mundo, whatever you want to call it. What a match this would have been. Both of these guys are really athletic. I think they would really complement each other's styles very well. But at this stage of their careers, I just think Rollins was a bit higher up on the card than Mr. Impact here. So you gotta give it to Rollins, but it'll be a great match. In 2020, the scary year, the year of the pandemic, the winner of the Royal Rumble was Drew McIntyre. This was career revival Jacked McIntyre, who was really launched to that next level when he won this Royal Rumble. And this would be a really interesting matchup because by the time that year's WrestleMania came around, the TNA World Champion was Tessa Blanchard. Tessa Blanchard being the TNA World Champion was a landmark moment. It was the first time a woman had ever held the World Championship of a major wrestling organization. Now I know WWE probably wouldn't put an intergender match at this level on a WrestleMania card, but let's play devil's advocate. I could see present day heel McIntyre winning this match, just being an absolute troll on social media and being a vile villain in the ring against a female wrestler, but I just can't see how a male babyface wrestler could win this match in any world. So if this match did happen, I gotta give it to Tessa Blanchard. In 2021, you have Edge winning his second ever Royal Rumble match. Unfortunately, there was no crowd there, which was sad. And if he had challenged the TNA World Champion that year, he would have gone up against Rich Swann. This would have been an interesting match. I'm curious to see how their styles would have gelled together and how they would have put together a 20-minute plus WrestleMania style match. Swann has shown in the past that he can put on good matches with guys with a bigger frame than him, but I just think everyone was so hot on Edge still from the previous year's return that if this happened, Edge would have won. In 2022, in a very disappointing Royal Rumble win, the winner was Brock Lesnar. I think a lot of us rolled our eyes when Lesnar won this one. We were just fatigued with him in the main event picture at this stage, and there was a lot more deserving people in that Rumble. But this potential matchup would be a cool one. Lesnar would have gone up against Moose. These are both just really big, meaty powerhouse wrestlers, and I think they would have had a match similar to the one Goldberg and Lesnar had at WrestleMania a few years ago. It would have been short, it would have been explosive, it would have been painful, but I think it would have been memorable. Unless you're someone like Roman Reigns, very few people beat Lesnar, especially in a marquee matchup like this. So I just think Lesnar would have too much for Moose. In 2023, attempting to finish in the story for the first time, the Royal Rumble winner was Cody Rhodes. This was Cody Rhodes on that rise through the bloodline, trying to get to Roman Reigns in the main event of WrestleMania, but he still wasn't at the height of his powers yet. I still think he'd win this, however, because if this happened in real life, Cody would have gone up against vacant. The TNA World Championship was vacant at this stage, so they probably would have just came out to the ring and handed it to Cody. And in 2024, this year's Royal Rumble was once again won by Cody Rhodes. The first person in over 20 years to win back-to-back Royal Rumbles. The hype for Cody between January to WrestleMania of this year was at a fever pitch. I'm sure you can all agree that that time at the beginning of this year was some of the most fun we had as wrestling fans in recent years. And if this match had happened in real life, Cody Rhodes would have gone up against Moose. Moose was an even stronger champion when he was going up against Lesnar 2 years prior, but I got to apologize again because I'm sorry, Moose. Nobody is going to stop Cody finishing his story. If this match happened, you got to give it to Cody Rhodes. So what do you think? Was I correct? Let me know down in the comments below who you would have winning these matches. Thanks again so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and don't forget to subscribe. It would be much appreciated. Alright, I'll see you around.